Take 76.
Welcome to northwest New South Wales, where it never rains, and it has rained pretty much constantly for the last 2 weeks. But this is what you want to see when you're specking, because the rain washes the dust and crud off the surface, and hopefully it'll expose some opal. But I guess we're lucky and unlucky. We're lucky we could even get out here to film this, but anyway. Hello and welcome to a new series of videos about Lightning Ridge and opal mining terminology. Like any industry, opal mining is full of jargon and buzzwords that don't mean anything to people who aren't in the know. So what we're going to do is explore some of the stranger terms that get thrown around on the opal fields and on the inside of the opal industry. Some of these words will be unique to Lightning Ridge. Some of them exist across all of Australia's opal fields. It's a bit of a mixed bag, but there'll also be some history and a lot of sidetracks as we go. So hopefully this should be pretty interesting. I spoke with Sean Gelman, Lightning Ridge opal miner, about a ton of opal mining terms, and we're going to start off with a triple feature on specking, fossicking and noodling.
There's a couple of knobbies just here. So in this case we still have a couple of knobbies visible. It's been particularly good to see after the rain, so the rain will wash the dust away from the dirt and it gives it a good clean up, so the knobbies become quite visible.
Specking is a term for finding opal on the surface. Just as a little historical aside, the opal industry at Lightning Ridge began because of opal found on the surface, basically specced by Jack Murray around 1906. He found what are now referred to as floaters. There's a bit of bonus terminology for you. Floaters are decent pieces of opal found on the surface where no mining has previously taken place, which in 1906 was everywhere. And now, back to the usual programming. Sometimes, if you're lucky enough, you can just find it in undisturbed ground, but usually you'll find it where mining has taken place in the past.
So when we drill a hole, so the dirt that came out of this shaft here is positioned here, so we watch it as it's coming out, and once the opal level comes out, well, we tend to get on the heaps and have a spec to see if there's any traces, any opal, any knobbies, any seam, whatever is the result of the field we're working in. And in this case, we did bring up several knobbies out of this hole, which was good to see. It was good trace, what we call good trace. As you can see, there's one here, there's another here under the dirt, so that's a knobby there, and there's also another one sitting just there. So when we're specking, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the opal in its natural state, in dirt that's been dumped, whether from a drill hole or an actual working mine. So a mullock dump is a designated area for the reclamation of all the dirt that we dig out that is unwanted, basically. Mullock is just your basic unwanted dirt.
The white heaps that you see all around Lightning Ridge that make up the landscape that you recognise as Lightning Ridge, they're mullock heaps. So that's just all waste material from opal mining.
It can be taken away and washed at a later stage if needed, but generally the toe dirt and the unwanted dirt that we don't gouge, so anything that has nothing to do with the opal level really, we'll dig out, and it is placed here.
So a very common activity for people who visit Lightning Ridge is to go fossicking or specking. Specking is usually the term used when opal miners are legitimately out looking for opal on the surface of the ground because they've just dug a mine and they've got some overburden to sort through, or because they're looking around after the rain. And fossicking is usually the term that applies to tourists and visitors. Lightning Ridge has quite a few public fossicking areas that are set up for tourists to do just that. Again, if you're on someone's claim without their permission, it is still considered trespassing, so you're not encouraged to just go out on the opal fields and start looking for things. That's a big no-no around here.
So there's a couple of terms that we've heard a lot over the years, and a lot of people aren't aware of the difference between specking and noodling. Noodling was an old form of specking done in the early part of the settlement of Lightning Ridge when no dirt was washed.
We'll look at machinery that's used to wash opal in some other videos, but it's important that opal nowadays, when it's mined, is washed. So almost all opal that comes out of the ground, part of the processing is to wash it with water in order to remove the dirt and hopefully expose the opal.
So everything was coming out of the ground with windlasses, and they were basically dumping in a donut-shaped ring around the hole. And the only way to find the opal at that point was what was considered noodling.
Back in the day, all of the processing of opal was done physically with mechanical means. So there was machinery like dry puddlers, which was just a machine with physical veins in it that would pulverize the opal to remove the dirt and hopefully leave behind the knobbies, and various other machines like that. And noodling was just another method of trying to sort through what you've pulled out of the ground using mechanical means, because we just didn't have the technology that we have now. We also didn't have the bores to have access to water to be able to clean them using more efficient methods.
So they'd take a small section of dirt and rake it across a board and use a secondary board to chop up the opal clay. And as they were chopping, they'd generally feel a knobby or a bit of potch or a bit of trace under the board. So the opal clay would deteriorate very quickly and very rapidly, but the opal would stay as it is, as a solid. And that was the way the old timers used to go through their heaps.
There's a reference to this in the Lightning Ridge book by Stuart Lloyd, and I quote, "A noodler is a person searching dumps by hand for opal which the miners have missed. A half-shear blade often used to cut dirt, and a ring is heard when potch or opal is struck." So specking, fossicking and noodling are all largely interchangeable words now, but there is a distinction between them. Specking is finding opal on the surface and is a word that's usually used by miners. Very rarely will you hear a miner use the word fossick. Fossicking means much the same thing, but it's mostly used to describe public areas set up for tourists to find opal, fossicking areas. And noodling is also much of the same, but it comes from an old mechanical way of separating opal material from opal dirt back in ye olde times of opal mining. Special thanks to Sean Galman for helping out with this video, and a ton more of them to come in the future. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to see the rest of this series on opal mining terminology peppered with a bit of history and anecdotes, then please consider subscribing to IDU Curiosity on YouTube and following along on all of the social medias. Thank you for watching.